welcome back to my channel. Have you ever wondered of how our human brain and how we actually perceive sound in the real world as humans? Because you know that if I were to clap here, or here, or here, or here, you'd hear the noise differently. And even if you would close your eyes, your brain would still be able to perceive sound from different directions, and it would know exactly where the sound source is coming from. Because if I clap here, your brain will say, well, where is the sound coming from? First of all, I hear that the sound is louder on my right ear and less louder on my left ear. So I can predict that the sound is coming on the right side. And same for the left side, upside, downside, and many different ways that this brain is actually perceiving sound. And today in this video, we are going to be interviewing Dr. Slim Ghorbal today in this video to learn how in video games, virtual reality, the metaverse, and even in cinemas, how they make us be able to put sound from different directions to be able to actually perceive it in different ways, and how they imitate the human brain when trying to predict where sound is coming from. So let's get right into this amazing interview. So here guys, we have the man himself, Dr. Slim Ghorbal. And we are going to be learning about what are head-related transfer functions and much more in the domain of sound. And I'm really excited to be able to interview here Mr. Slim Ghorbal, because I really like and I'm really interested on how you actually learn and what is the science behind your hearing. So, hello, Dr. Slim Ghorbal. Welcome to the show, and we'll just ask a few questions to start off to know more about you and know you better. Okay?
Okay.
Sounds great. So, what inspired you to get into this domain, this sound domain?
Well, I came to HRTFs or to binaural sound by chance, pure hazard. In fact, I really wanted to do research. I've done an engineering school, and after that I worked a little bit as a software developer, but I felt that I was missing something, and I really wanted to go back to some research stuff. So I decided to contact a former professor, former teacher, who proposed me that subject. I didn't know anything about binaural sound, but the way he explained it to me was like a revelation. So I was very enthusiastic about that, and I decided to go for a PhD with him on that subject.
Yeah, so by pure chance, your teacher just talked to you about it. That's another way of getting inspiration. Okay, and like, how did you start? How were you actually able to go into this domain?
Well, first of all, I have to tell that it was with my PhD teacher and a company also.
Okay, so you were learning with your teacher and another company.
Yeah, exactly. So the company was paying me for doing that research, and I was
learning at the same time.
Of my teacher.
Yeah. So exactly. You get taught, and then you transform that teaching into actual money.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. And yeah, so it was it was a PhD part of that company.
Yeah, that's great. So you really got lucky with that, because first you found the passion by chance and by just hearing it from someone, and then you were actually able to monetize that. Really cool. Anyways, so last question to know more about you. When did you actually start that? So like in university, right? Or
No, it was not at university. It was a few years after. So as I said, I started to work really in a company not related to HRTF, to binaural sound or anything. But after 4 years working as a software developer, I came back to it. My teacher was not at university, but at Central Supélec, which is an engineering school. And well, the company is not related to university. So it's not university related. It's another path, but it's still, yeah. It's a,
Very interesting.
you have multiple ways to do PhDs in France, and this is one of them.
And so now that we know more about you, Dr. Slim Ghorbal, let's actually try to ask more questions about actually what you do in your domain, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Great. And guys, what is an HRTF? What is a head-related transfer function? Well, from what I've learned from the internet so far, and hopefully I'll be able to learn more from Mr. Dr. Slim Ghorbal today, is that head-related transfer function is actually a different way of how you perceive sound from different places in different locations, and how your brain actually perceives them, and how to hear it, and how to make predictions of where is it coming from, or how loud is it, and many of those things. And yeah, so that's the basic explanation from what I've learned so far. And now let's let the expert, Dr. Slim Ghorbal, take over. So yeah, so more in depth, what is an HRTF, a head-related transfer function?
Well, you've said the basics. HRTFs stands for head-related transfer function. Okay, it's a concept introduced in the mid-70s, 1974, I think, but by a researcher named Blowert, who was expert in psychoacoustics. The way he introduced it was as a way to fool our brain and make it believe in a 3D experience
Okay.
while listening to stereo content with usual headphones. Okay. HRTFs, generally speaking, are in fact, sets of HRTFs made of hundreds to thousands of mathematical filters that, how to put it, that are meant to carry all the information about distortions applied to a sound before it reaches our eardrums.
So it's supposed to actually like work the calculation of like many things like echoes, how will it go through this material, how will it go through this area, and many calculations to actually do that, right?
It's part of that. Yes, it's part of that. But there are different flavor of HRTFs. Some come with reflections in them, some don't, etc. But in its simplest form, let's just imagine you're walking in the street and suddenly a bird is singing above you. Instinctively, you will raise your head and look up. Why? Why is that? It's because your
noise.
Your brain, exactly. You perceive the sounds, and your brain takes all the information in it and process it in a way that you can produce a sensation of directionality. So this is something that we do naturally on an everyday basis. And there is so naturally information that is carried in this sound. What are those informations? There are of three types: what we call ITD, the ILD, and the frequency clues. The ITD is the interaural time difference. It's a difference of arrival of sound at your right ear, it's my right ear, and the left ear. So if the sound comes from your right, it will first arrive at your right ear and then at your left ear. And it will also arrive a bit louder. So there is also interaural level difference, what I call ILD.
Yeah, and then
it arrives sooner and louder.
Like if there's no here, your brain will hear it louder on this ear and less louder here, and it's really sensitive to that, so then it will be able to perceive that it's coming from the right side. And also, same thing, like if I do make more sound here, I would know which one, like from which ear do I hear the sound first, right? Because it's really sensitive. So it's gonna pass by the speed of sound, but I will hear this faster than this. So then I know for sure.
Exactly. And with those two first clues, you can reproduce stereo sound. Stereo uses those two clues. But there is a problem if you consider, for instance, a sound that is a source sound that is just in front of you. Okay, it will arrive at the same time at both your ears with the same level. But imagine you raise
Yeah.
the sound source or lower it. It will still arrive at the same with the same level and at the same time. So there is no difference if you move your sound source along that direction. So how would but
Right.
if
Okay.
you remember what I said earlier, a bird
Mhm.
up in the trees, you can naturally feel it being in the trees. So how do we do? There is a third clue, which is frequency clue, which is in fact a set of distortions in the audio spectrum who are generated by your body. Just
Sound coming from your body. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
because your ear is has a very complex shape. Your shoulders can also absorb some sound during reflections, and all that stuff um, changes the spectrum of the sound. And this is a third very important clue of HRTFs.
Great. Thank you for giving us a very, very brief explanation of what is in HRTF a head-related transfer function. But yeah, so now we'll get into next part of our interview, and I'm gonna quickly give a brief explanation. I mean, a basic explanation of what is binaural sound. So, guys, we've now heard a lot from Dr. Sim Ghorbal about what is in HRTF, a head-related transfer function, but what is now a binaural sound? What is that? Well, as we heard, to make a head-related transfer function in HRTF, we need calculations behind it, and the computer many computers are calculating how we perceive sound on some what do you call those? On headphones.
Headphones?
Yeah, like you said, headphones, and then also like in virtual reality or in even cinema, you just like feel the sound like if you were in real life. You just feel it. And how do you actually do that? Well, you need computers to calculate that, and that's what we call binaural sound. Binaural sound is a part of HRTF, and that's basically the calculations to actually do it. Am I right? Am I right, Sir Slim Ghorbal? Yeah.
Yeah,
So yes, I gotta write again. But anyways, could you explain more about binaural sound? Because now I got a little bit of basics. Basics, I think so. I need confirmation. But let's see if you can give us a more brief explanation, like you did with the HRTF.
Yeah, sure. Well, generally speaking, if we want to be very, very general, a binaural sound refers to whatever sound stimulates both left and right ears. So that's the most general explanation. But in our case, a binaural sound is much more than that. It's a sound specifically designed to fool the listener's brain. Okay, and to do that, we use the HRTFs with the clues that we've talked about earlier. And with that ability, I mean, and there's not much to tell about that, but the main part is the HRTF and how you use it to reproduce a sound. You use a convolution mathematical operation that uses well, the filters, HRTFs, and any monaural sound to put it, to locate it, to place it anywhere in space. So if you do that, you have reproduced a 3D experience with your headphones. That's no more than that. Now, maybe you'd like to know why it's important, for instance, in virtual reality or audio applications. Well, with the ability that the binaural sound offers, we don't need, for instance, any expensive set of speakers anymore to enjoy a movie or video game with spatial sound. The HRTFs can emulate any multi-channel system like 5.1, 7.1, 14.2, I don't know. And so you can enjoy a really immersive sound.
And that's
anywhere,
the binaural system.
anytime.
That's the binaural
Exactly.
sound. That's the calculation of that. Okay. Well, great. You gave us again a very brief explanation. And yeah, so let's ask the next question. How do researchers personalize HRTFs, and why is it necessary for an optional audio experience? So, like, how do they personalize these HRTFs, and like, what's important? Was it necessary to make an actual like immersive audio experience?
Yeah. There are multiple ways to do that. Maybe the most straightforward way to personalize HRTFs is to install a subject into an anechoic room, which is, I don't know if you know.
A subject is like a person. A subject is like a person.
Yeah. A subject is a person. And an anechoic room is a room in which there are no reflection on the walls or on the floor or.
A what? What do you call it?
Anechoic room.
Anechoic. Okay.
Yeah.
Anechoic room.
Anechoic room. So you don't have any reflection on that. And this is important because after you've put the person into that room, you put two microphones into his ears, and you make him listen to sounds, usually white noises, coming from every possible direction. Okay. After that, you post-process the recordings, and by looking at the difference between the sound you played and the ones you recorded, you can compute the HRTF sets of the listener. You know,
What?
so because you totally you're focused on the full chain of processing, and you know what you've played, you know what you've recorded, and just compare both, and what's inside, what's in between is due to the HRTFs. Yeah. So that's how you personalize HRTFs mostly. The most
Great. So
intuitive
you
way.
take a subject, then you try to put the sound, and then you try to see what is the best option.
Yeah, how he hears that.
Yeah. So basically,
sound.
troubleshooting, a basic thing, a common thing that you would do in many technologic programs, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways.
exactly. And your second question was why is it necessary for optimal audio experience? Well, if you do not use
Yeah.
if you do not use the user's own HRTFs, if you use generic ones, for instance,
Then maybe they won't
the sound,
fit you. They won't fit you. Like the sound can be different for different person.
a bit weird. It would sound weird.
Okay. Great. So now, like, what challenges do researchers face when attempting to personalize HRTFs? Like, what's the challenge of trying to do this testing and all?
The main problem is that they do not always work. It's not easy to require or generate relevant HRTFs. They are very subjective, and sometimes, even though you do everything fine, it's not working. The listener doesn't perceive the sense of direction using his personalized HRTFs. But sometimes it works perfectly. I have my own set of HRTFs, and I'm very happy with it. It's really
So it's
really
basically like you have your own sound processor. Like you made it by yourself. You just have your own sound processor, right? It's like okay, very interesting. So
I have a set of HRTFs. Yeah.
okay. So it's like an item. It's like a sound that you can use, like an environment sound.
Yeah, exactly. It's a set of parameters.
Okay, great. And can you elaborate on the process of collecting data for building personalized HRTFs, and why is this essential? Why is it essential to be collecting data for personalizing the HRTFs?
Yeah, well, there are two things. Why do we want to do that, and how is it? How do we do? Uh, how is it hard? Or, um, why do we do that? It's because HRTFs are very complex objects. They are very important, but we don't fully understand them. So, as a researcher, we are interested in what makes them good, bad, so special, or so. Is it important to record them or to compute them under from, I don't know, 100 hertz to 20 kilohertz or not? Could we do less? Should we do should we pay more attention to the resolution, to the frequency resolution or not? Those are open questions. We don't know that yet.
Okay.
And in order to do that, we need a lot of example of them. So the first thing to consider is, depending on the questions you want to answer to, do you need hundreds of them? Do you need thousands of them? Even more? Depending on that, you will try different ways to acquire them or to simulate them or to personalize them.
All right. So you just want to collect data to be able to like make it even more personalized, because that's what you want, right? When you're
Yep.
personalizing data sets, of course you want to collect data so that you can it fits you. It's good for you. Anyways, so what are some existing methods for personalizing HRTFs? What are some of the methods? We already saw one that you told us. It was you take headphones and then you try out some sound system that you made, or I assume you can also use other HRTFs from other people and then
Yeah.
maybe change it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. There are multiple ways of doing personalization. The one I described earlier was to acquire them directly in an anechoic chamber. Uh, Another one is, as you said, using a generic one, generic HRTF, and then tweak it, modify it a little bit till the subject is satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to make him listen to particular sounds and and check if it's better or not. And but it's very time consuming, exhausting, but it works. And the last one is to simulate them. And
Okay.
to do that, we need to have a 3D representation, a 3D mesh of the body of the listener. Because
Okay.
if you know that, well,
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So you mean like you need to put in your program yourself and then put some the sound around and then see
yeah,
how does it perceive your you actually, because you want to obviously use a program, a 3D program, to see how would you perceive it in different like waves, of course, waves. But actually, bonus question: what program do you actually use to make all this?
well, we used a program named Mesh to HRTF, which was
Mesh to HRTF.
yeah, Mesh to HRTF, which is as you can imagine, specifically designed to produce HRTFs out of meshes. And the entry point of that program is, as I said, a clean 3D representation
Oh, I
of the
see.
body.
I see up here on the site Mesh HRTF numerical calculation of the head related
Exactly.
transfer function. Okay, okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
So you use this to make your HRTF, and I can
Yes,
see.
and to solve the differential equations
And I
of
can
the
see
sound
here
propagation.
read 3D objects. You use like a head, and then you try to see how the sound percepts. You can hear it's here. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, next question, I guess. So, how do researchers simulate HRTFs numerically? Because I think we already covered some of this, but can we go more in depth in this? From what I think of what you're gonna say is that like I see here on the site, you have like your head, and then like you have your calculations and your sounds coming from here, coming into here, and then you can like listen to what you should be hearing, if I'm right.
Yeah, exactly.
And same
In
for
fact,
everything.
in fact, it really is a simulation of what you do, what you would do if you were to acquire HRTFs in an anechoic room. It's really the same thing, but virtual. So you have virtual speakers, a virtual
Like in
body.
virtual reality, right?
Yeah, exactly, and virtual microphones. And you just virtually record the sound that arrives at the microphones.
Great. Okay.
As simple as that. It's just very computationally expensive and time-consuming, but
Great. Okay. Okay. And now, guys, we are going to be talking about more of the Chedar database. Yeah, Chedar, like cheddar cheese, which stands for something, which actually stands for Computer HRTF and EARS database for acoustic research. Acoustic research, yeah. And so basically, Cheddar, from what I understand so far, from my brain, what I understand is that it's basically a database. It's basically like it's a database which does calculations, because as you know, binaural sound, all the calculations that you do for HRTFs, well, here it's a database for the binaural system which is actually calculating all of the sounds for the HRTF itself, right?
yes, the Chedar database is an HRTFs and 3D meshes database compiling almost 1,300
Yeah,
entities.
and can you like talk about more of what is the significance in the Cheddar database in the field of binaural audio? Yeah.
Yeah, it's important because as we said earlier, one main problem for HRTF's research is that we need a lot of data. If we want to do statistic analysis, etc., we need really a huge amount of data, and it's very time consuming and exhausting to take people into an analytical room, acquire HRTFs. Maybe they don't work, maybe they do, we don't know, etc. If you want thousands of them, it's just almost impossible or very expensive.
Okay.
It's much more easy to simulate them, and so this
So
database
you're saying it's easier to already have a
was made for us.
database made for us, yeah, because it's like Tesla who used a programming language for their own programming language for their system, for their computer calculations. But it's always better to use someone else database so that you don't need to waste time, right? And
Yes,
no wasting money. It's easier overall.
it's something that you need if you want to perform analysis. If you want to test a new method of personalization, you will need a lot of data to confront the reality, and this is one of the objective, one of the goal of the Chedar database.
Great. Oh, okay. We can see that we're 10 minutes left, 9 minutes and 30 seconds left. So let's try to wrap it up right here with our last question. What are the future directions for personalized HRTFs, and how do you see them impact virtual reality, telecommunication, and audio technology? How do you see these HRTFs personalization actually impact that?
Well, HRTF personalization is a hot topic. I mean, everyone working on that, and it's been decades now. But every major company has a research program on that. Microsoft, Apple, Google, Snyder, etc. They all want it. And why? Because it could be absolutely fantastic to have that in I mean, I don't know, virtual reality, we talked about a little bit about virtual reality, but in your mobile phone, in your if you want to do audio conference, having a more immersive experience, it's way better. But also in the medical fields, I mean, if you want to help people with hearing impairment, hearing loss, to hear better, uh, put a lot of binaural sound into this equipment. So the applications are there's a lot of them.
Okay.
But in order to do that, because we don't have all those applications right now, and in order to do that, the main challenge, in my humble opinion, is to make them truly reliable. I mean, to make the personalized HRTFs truly reliable. If
Okay.
you
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
use generic ones, well, it's okay, but it's not really better than another specialization method. So why would we
So it's always
put
better
money
if
in that technology instead of
yeah,
binaural?
yeah.
No.
So it's always better to have your own thing if it's something specific. But yeah, okay. Great. And now we'll go into the last part. So Dr. Slim Ghorbal, what is your message to the people watching this video right now? What is your message to them?
Well, I'd like to say them that if they like, if they have liked this explanation about HRTFs, maybe they just need to research on that, because we have a lot of things to discover, and it is a fantastic field of experimentation subject, and I'm sure it will be valuable for them intellectually, speakingly, and yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Miss Miss Dr. Slim Ghorbal for today's amazing interview. And yeah, and yeah, great. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.